We're going to do something a little bit different this time and try to speed run the edit of this by hitting on some main points that, when I was looking up how to do this, often weren't covered by the tubers. First, if your windows are like mine and have nailing fins, you're going to want to add some sort of additional backing behind your trim so that it all sits flat on the wall. I use shims. You could rip tiny pieces of 2x the same thickness as your nailing fins. Another thing people don't talk about is how much faster things can go if you pre-paint your trim. I did this for all the exterior trim on my house. Ends still had to be touched up after cutting, but it saved a lot of time compared to installing them as primed and then painting after. The last note on trim. I saw a lot of people using big nails for their trim installs. I didn't like the finish that gave me, so I switched to using 18 gauge nails. Next was to mark out all the stud locations, and no, it's not as simple as find one and go every 16 inches, especially in an old house like this. So I went around with my stud finder and marked them all, then extended the lines vertically so I could always see where I wanted to nail the siding to. Building from the bottom up, the first thing to do was install drip edge at the bottom of where the siding would go. I should have installed drip edge over the windows as well. It was over a year ago, so I don't remember why I didn't bother. When the inspector saw it, he said, "You should have drip edge there, but it's so close to the eaves that nothing's ever going to get in there." It was nice to have a guy that could be flexible in the face of reality. With the drip edge in, I could get started on the corners, because corners define the space that you're working in for the siding. I had a few fussy spots, but got them all reasonably worked out in the end. Now that the corners were in, I could start on the starter strip. I cut these out of 2, I think, pieces of siding material. They also got painted before being installed. I used Gecko Gauges to help hold the siding up while I nailed it on. I've since seen people using story poles and running chalk lines at the heights the board should be. I did notice that these were not exactly perfect or the same across the pair that came in the package, let alone to the second package, so I ended up making minor adjustments as I went. In the future, I like the idea of having the horizontal lines marked on the wall to make sure everything's perfect, while still using the Gecko Gauges to make installation easier. Finally, for the gable ends, I made templates I could tack up with a notch in it that I could hook a tape on and measure from. It took a little bit longer, but let me get the quality and precision that I aim for.